Not that I need a speaker to inspire you guys. But my name is Chris Flores. I'm with Muddy River Catfishing. You may or may not have heard of us. We have a YouTube channel, and we're from Las Cruces. We fish the Rio Grande River up to Elk Butte, off Crystal Lake, and south of Wild Lake. And I've been fishing since I was 6 months old, believe it or not, and it's always been a passion of mine. And I've just kind of learned through the years, and so I'm going to share with you today some of the rigs that I use to catfish. The first rig that I learned to use was the one that my dad taught me. And it's called the Carolina rig. And the Carolina rig, the basic idea is you have your weight up on top and your hook on the bottom. And it will bring plenty of catch with it, but it does have a few drawbacks to it. And it has multi-purpose as well. So the rig I have here is a 4-ounce no-roll sinker that slides on the line. And then there's a barrel swivel, and there's a leader line here with a circle hook at the end. Now, hooks are always preference. If you use a regular hook, that's fine. If you like circle hooks, that's your preference as well. There is a difference when you're using a circle hook versus a regular hook. And a regular hook, of course, you see that fish bite, you see your rod doing this, you grab it and you yank on it. You want that hook to penetrate in the mouth and catch him, and that's how you catch him on a regular hook. Now, a circle hook's a little different. When you see that fish biting and doing this number, you don't want to pull that hook, because the shape of the hook has that point pointing in towards the shank. So if you pull it, you'll just pull it right out of the mouth. So what you do is you let that fish run with it, and as he runs, it'll come around the corner of his mouth and it'll hook him all on his own. So all you do is once you see that rod going, you just kind of crank on the reel a little bit, and that will help set that hook. You never want to pull it from a circle hook. So anyways, this is the rig that I learned to fish with, and like I said, it's a pretty good setup. It works great both lakes and rivers, and when you're fishing with this, it'll sit on the bottom like so, and your bait obviously is on the bottom, whether it be the river or whether it be the lake. The good thing is, since this weight isn't tied to the line, is it'll slide through, and the fish doesn't really feel that weight. So when he's biting, you can see that bite a lot easier than if you had to pull the whole weight. Now, the drawback that I had to this is when I was river fishing with it, I'd end up catching catfish, but I'd also end up catching a lot of turtles. And there's a lot of little soft-shell turtles out there, and what they do is in the river, because they have that current, they have to use their claws and stuff to hold on to the bottom. So they'll swim up and they'll find this bait, and then they can grab a hole in the mud or the bottom, and they can start picking at your bait. And then you end up catching turtles because you're fishing right on the bottom. So after a few years of trial and error and fishing with this rig and realizing that I'm catching probably an equal amount of turtles that was catfish, I tried to mess around and came up with this other rig. And this one is probably my favorite rig. And I don't necessarily have a name for it. The best I can find is similar to what they call a Kentucky rig, but not really, because it's a lot more simple than a Kentucky rig, and I'll show you that in a second. But on this rig, you can see the difference. I have a weight on the bottom, and I have the hook up on top. And the way this works, if you have this line casted out, your bait's no longer directly on the bottom. Now, some people may think that's a bit of a concern for catfish, but catfish aren't bottom feeders like a lot of people think. catfish have a bladder, an air bladder inside that they can fill up with air or let air out as they see fit to sit anywhere in the water column that the bait fish are at. Because they mainly feed on bait fish. They do feed on other stuff, but once they get bigger, they mainly feed on bait fish. So if you're fishing in the lake, now your hook's just a little bit off the bottom. You're not having to worry about getting stuck on rocks and stuff like that. And if you're fishing in the river with the current, your hook's going to be over here. And now a turtle is going to have a hard time getting to it. You may still catch one depending on how much current there is in the river and whatnot, but they're going to struggle now because they've got that big shell and that current's pushing on them. They can't just swim up to it and hang out here while they're eating it. They'll have to hold on to something to get to it. And one thing I noticed, you can always tell the difference when a turtle bites than to when a catfish bites. And when the catfish will bite it, if it's a little one, just a little ding like that, kind of pulls it like that a little bit. But if it's a big one, you'll grab it and then you just kind of want to run with it and go like that. In my experience, I've actually gotten in the water and swum in this fish and I studied them. And channels and blue cats they swim in schools. And as they're going, they normally go upriver, and when they find a bait, they grab it and they go downstream because they want to get that bait and get away from the rest of them so that the other fish don't take it away from them. So if you're fishing downstream, they're going to bite this bait and they're going to take off. And that's why you're going to get that big bite. Now, if you ever go to the river and you fish upstream, you cast upstream and also you see your bait, your line kind of goes loose a little bit, and you don't know if it's the current that kind of moved your bait or what. The problem you're having there is these catfish are biting and moving downstream. So your line's going slack, you're not sure exactly what's going on. So I rarely ever fish upstream because it's a lot easier to tell when the fish are biting if you're fishing downstream. You have to really, really, really pay attention to your line when you're fishing upstream so you know that it's either the fish that's biting or it's the current that's moving your bait. Now, the one thing about this setup that I really like, and I'll show you how to tie it, is I designed this setup to have a part if you're fishing heavy cover areas. And one of the places that you're going to find one of the main places that you're going to find these big fish, these big flatheads. Yes, sir.
Did you just cut off?
I cut my lines.
Oh.
So, but I'm going to show you how to tie this line, how to attach this rig. But one of the places that you're going to find these big catfish are in heavy cover areas, whether it be rocky areas or a bunch of fallen tree branches, log jams, stuff like that. The problem you have fishing those areas is getting stuck. So what I've done is I tie a loose or a simple knot on the bottom, and the way this works, it's going to be a little hard for you guys to see, but yeah. So all I'm doing is I'm making a knot. I'm making a knot on the tag line end that goes around the main line. So the main line threads through here, and just a loose knot on here around the main line. You can see that. So what you do is you just pull this tight, like this. Makes a little knot on the line, and then you pull this, and that's strong enough to hold your weight. And that's really all you needed to get your bait down where you want it.
Yeah.
Now when I tie this hook, what I do is I come up, and this depends on where you want your bait in the water, but usually I'll fish about this far up, and I make a loop. Make a loop. I thread it through. that. Then I just do an overhand knot. Very simple. Pull that tight. Then I open the loop. Put the hook through. And this makes a really strong knot right up against your hook. And that's what you want. The most important thing is, of course, the fish. You don't want to lose that fish, right? So now to make the leader line, pinch the line, pull it back, however far you feel you need. Make a loop, I just wrap it around my fingers, stick the hook through that loop, then I pull it tight. Okay, and now my rig is done. Real simple rig, and it's really easy to tie, and you don't have to have swivels and all that other fancy stuff and levers and all that. Now the way this works, let's say you catch a fish, but your weight gets stuck. So you've got this tension going on, but what's going to happen is this line is going to pull and run straight to your hook. And if it still doesn't come free, it's going to pull and your weight's going to come right off. So now you have your direct line to your hook, and there's nothing down here to get hung up. You're going to reel in your fish. So you get your fish on the bank or in the boat, you just rig it right up, no problem. Just run it again. It's going to take you about a minute to do. Tie it up here and do this one. Drop it in, and you're good to go. That's simple. So that is probably my favorite rig when it comes to river fishing or fishing heavy cover areas. Now, how many of you guys fish from a boat? You guys have a boat over there? Most people think that fishing for catfish is pretty boring because go to a bank, throw out your line, you just wait for a bite. Which is true, I mean, that's one way to do it. But catfishing it's just been growing, and it's been expanding, and there's different techniques that are coming up, and one of them is pretty much like trolling. Anybody ever troll for white bass or striper or anything like that? Well, you can troll for catfish, believe it or not. So let's talk about that. So going back to the Carolina rig. Carolina rig is good for trolling catfish. And the way you do this, well, let me explain a leader line. Do you guys know what a leader line is for? Anybody? The reason you use a leader line is because this setup above here is kind of time consuming to tie. So you have a heavy line here. This is a 65-pound braided line. And this down here is a 50-pound mono. So if this line is, well, this line is the one that's going to take most of the beating. Whether it be the fish biting and their teeth are rubbing it, or you're dragging it through the rocks or something. So it's easier to just cut this line and put a new one. Or if you get stuck, this line is more likely to break than the line up here. That way you just have to put a new hook on. You don't have to worry about re-rigging all of this or losing your weight and your hook. So one of the things that these guys do is they'll take this rig and they'll drop it behind the boat. And they'll cast it out 100 feet or more or less, depending. And they'll drag it behind the boat. They'll go real slow, about 0.5 mile an hour, half a mile an hour, and just dragging this bait along the bottom. And what happens is you're covering more area. You're bringing this bait around to the fish instead of waiting for the fish to come to your bait. So you're dragging this around, catfish sees it, he'll swim right up to it, he hits it, and he takes off with it, and your rod just goes down like that, and you know you got a fish. The problem I've had with the Carolina rig dragging it is that it does tend to get stuck because of the wedge-shaped fishing weight. So another thing that you can do is you can do what they call a suspended rig. And that is pretty much just what it sounds like. You suspend your bait right off the bottom, or wherever if you have a depth finder and you can see where the fish are at, you suspend it at that depth. Now the reason for this heavy weight is, number one, if you're fishing in current in a river, you want something heavy enough to keep your bait there. But if you're fishing this technique in the lake, your boat is moving at half a mile an hour, so you want your bait to be pretty much straight down with the boat. You need a lighter weight if you're dragging through the water over here. This way you have control of where your bait is. Drop it down. If they're 20 feet down and you're in the 50 feet of water, you can estimate where 20 feet is and drop it straight down. You're dragging it, you're just cruising around the lake looking for these fish, just like you would white bass or stripers. When they hit, they pull it down and they're hooked with those circle hooks. Now another rig that works for this type of fishing is this one here. It's very similar to the Carolina rig, but they call this a Santee Cooper rig. And the main difference that you can see is there's a float on this. Now, if you're fishing with this setup, you can use this whether you're drip fishing or if you're just bank fishing. If you're fishing with this setup, this peg float here allows your bait to float up off the bottom. So that keeps it off. Now you don't have to worry about turtles like we were talking about, or you can keep it off the bottom where it's not getting stuck, or you can let more line out and let it float up higher, however high you want it to be. So this is a good setup for fishing different depths of the water. If you guys have ever been fishing and you accidentally catch a catfish on a lure, you're fishing with a rattle trap, or you're fishing with a spinner bait, or you're bumping a worm along, that's exactly why. It wasn't an accident. These guys are predators. They're looking for something swimming by, they're looking to feed, and they're ready to attack. And that's why they're caught on lures quite often. If you look at the flathead catfish, their bottom jaw sticks out more than their top jaw, so they're like this. Their eyes are a little bit up on top of their head like this. The reason for that is because if you ever seen a black bass, they're not the same. They're predator fish. Now another thing that they have you ever heard the saying, the shark in the water, or so they can smell fear and all that stuff? Well, there is some truth to that. These catfish, they have a line down their body. If you've ever noticed a distinct line, it's called the lateral line. Yeah, it's called the lateral line, and with that line, they can sense vibration in the water. So if there's a fish in distress, or there's other fish that are eating, they can sense that vibration, and they'll come to that area, what's going on. The other thing that they have is their entire body is covered with something called chemoreceptors. And a chemoreceptor is a fancy name for a taste bud, basically. So their entire body is covered with taste buds. So you can put a bait on, throw it out, this fish can swim right by it, taste it just by swimming next to it, or touching it with his tail, and decide whether he likes it or not. Then turn around and come and eat it. So that's why these fish are ultimate predators. They have all these abilities.